Namo Amitabha Buddha. Welcome to Awaken with Buddha's Words, where we explore the profound teachings of the Buddha to find peace and freedom from suffering in this life. Today, we will learn about a fundamental and core concept in Buddhism, which is suffering and liberation. This is an important lesson that the Buddha taught, reminding us of the nature of life and the path to overcoming suffering to achieve enlightenment. Let's start with the important question: why do we suffer? In life, we constantly encounter pain, from small dissatisfaction to great suffering. Each person has their own experience, but in general, everyone has to face suffering in one way or another. The Buddha discovered that suffering is an inevitable part of life. This is an undeniable truth. He summarized all the pain and dissatisfaction in life into what we often hear as the Four Noble Truths. These are the foundation of Buddhism and the roadmap that guides us on our journey to liberation. The noble truth of suffering. Life is full of suffering. Suffering comes in all forms, from the fear of loss, aging, illness, death, to negative emotions like anger, greed, and ignorance. We suffer when we lose what we love, when we don't get what we want, or when we are faced with things we hate. The cause of suffering is our greed, anger, and ignorance. Greed is the constant desire to possess things. Anger is the anger, hatred when we don't get what we want. And ignorance is the blindness, not seeing the true nature of life. There is freedom from suffering. The Buddha demonstrated that suffering is not permanent. We can completely escape the vicious cycle of suffering if we know how to perceive it correctly and practice it. The path that leads to liberation from suffering is the Noble Eightfold Path, which includes right view, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. When we talk about suffering, you may wonder, why do we have to face suffering? Why can't we have a life full of joy and happiness? The Buddha taught that the nature of life is impermanent. Everything we experience is constantly changing. Today we may be happy, but tomorrow that happiness may disappear. This is the truth about suffering. Namo Amitabha Buddha. The teachings of the Buddha are not intended to make us pessimistic about life, but to help us understand more clearly the nature of life, so that we can let go of unrealistic expectations and find a way to live peacefully in the midst of the changing world. When we understand the first noble truth, we begin to see more clearly that the cause of suffering lies in our clinging to impermanent things. We suffer when we lose what we love because we do not want to accept change. We suffer when we do not get what we want, and this comes from our own insatiable greed. Now let's practice meditation together to help calm the mind and reflect on the nature of suffering. Sit down, keep your back straight and your eyes closed. Feel each breath coming in and out. Let your mind be quiet, focusing on the present. Namo Amitabha Buddha. Acknowledge the presence of suffering in your life. Do not try to run away from it or deny it. Accept that suffering is a part of life and an opportunity for us to understand more about ourselves. When you understand the cause of suffering, you will gradually find inner peace. Life is never perfect, and suffering is inevitable. But if we know how to perceive and practice according to the Buddha's teachings, we can be free from that suffering. The noble truth of cessation is the Buddha's promise that suffering can be ended. What we need is patience, wisdom, and compassion to follow the path he has shown us, the path of the Noble Eightfold Path. Remember, Namo Amitabha Buddha. Every pain is a lesson, and every step on the path to enlightenment brings us closer to true liberation. Thank you for listening. If you find this video helpful, please share it with your loved ones. And don't forget to subscribe to Awaken with Buddha's Words to continue accompanying us on this spiritual journey. Namo Amitabha Buddha.